So I think we can get started. We are 5:01. Thank you everyone for joining us today in CyberE71 Thursday. Before starting off, I would like to welcome the audience and welcome our guest speaker, Reda Nidhakou. Reda, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Al-Kuwaiti is sending you his warm regards.
Thank you.
So Reda is the CEO of VentureOne, and he is joining us today. He is at the forefront of Abu Dhabi's mission to become a global leader in AI and obviously cybersecurity. And our session today is titled Abu Dhabi, the new AI powerhouse. We'll explore together how this visionary city is driving cutting-edge innovation and setting benchmarks in this field. We'll also deep dive into the role of VentureOne and the challenges in cybersecurity, but as well, and most importantly, the opportunities AI presents for startups. So thank you for our audience joining us today. We know that we are having a number of startups and as well some other stakeholders in the ecosystem. And the session will be recorded and will be available as well after our live session on the social media. So Reda, let's kick it off. Could you please give us your perspective on Abu Dhabi's vision to establish itself as an AI powerhouse, and how does VentureOne contribute to this mission? What excites you most really about the current developments?
Hi, good afternoon, Asma. Good afternoon, everyone. First, thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this webinar, but also congratulations actually for this very nice initiative. I think, as you rightly said, Abu Dhabi is really setting itself as an AI powerhouse. It is setting itself as a global benchmark when it comes to coordinated efforts towards AI. And the broader UAE today is actually positioned very, very well in the AI arena globally. The Economist a couple of months ago identified the UAE as being one of the three powers in the world when it comes to AI, alongside the US and China. This is a unique position where the UAE becomes a maker and the key player in technology, and not only an early adopter as it was the case in other technology phases and so on and so forth. Today, what is unique about the UAE approach, in my perspective, is really how comprehensive it is. It has been a journey where every single piece of the puzzle has been addressed, from having a dedicated ministry to having a university focused on AI, to having a research center in the Technology Innovation Institute focusing on AI and building our own homegrown models, all the way to having AI champions that build applications from here, from the UAE, like AI-71, and also having key players that are building AI infrastructure here in the UAE, all the way to also startups and ventures initiatives like the one led by Hub71 and other initiatives and so on. So today, what is fascinating in Abu Dhabi, and this is why it is actually becoming a destination for AI, for startups, for talent, and so on, is it gives all the ingredients to whoever wants to do AI to come here and to be able to operate in an ecosystem where AI startups are there, infrastructure is available, homegrown models are there, and most importantly, the end users today in the UAE are very mature, are all determined to actually use AI and adopt AI. We've been seeing a huge traction and a huge interest from end user, whether in the public sector or the private sector, willing to adopt AI and make it to work into their own operations. Now, the way we contribute into this ecosystem is in two fronts. The first front is in the Technology Innovation Institute that I mentioned before, where we are building our own homegrown large language models. And these are, as you know, the foundation to any AI application that you build. And the specificity there is that our models are open source and anyone can consume them through an API or on-prem and so on and so forth. The second effort is actually through AI71, which is an AI champion building applications on top of Falcon, whether it's generic applications that help any organization interact with their databases and so on, or vertical applications that are targeting a specific problem statements. What AI71 also is doing and the role it's playing in this ecosystem is a role where we are also accompanying some of the large accounts into their journey of adopting AI, from identifying the use cases to prioritizing the use cases, all the way to implementing and measuring the impact of these initiatives. And this is through an AI advisory arm that we are ramping up, and that is having a huge traction as well, because simply there is a lot to be done in AI. There are thousands of applications out there, and there are everyday new AI applications. And the customers and the end users today, they would like support into helping them focus on what brings value.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Reda. And there is a word that you kept on insisting on, which is ecosystem. Innovation does not happen in a vacuum, and it necessitates an ecosystem of actors complementing each other. So maybe let's try to deep dive a little bit into that. Can you tell us a little bit more about how ATRC, TII, AI71, and VentureOne are working together? How is the ecosystem looking like from VentureOne perspective?
Sure. So first, let me explain who ATRC is, because VentureOne belongs to a bigger ecosystem called the Advanced Technology Research Council. And this is a council that is Abu Dhabi government entity, which was created 4 years ago with an intention to actually consolidate the efforts of applied research from strategy and funding to execution, all the way to commercialization, and to make Abu Dhabi a technology hub where we attract talent and we start making technology from within Abu Dhabi. We've started actually with 10 technology sectors that we are addressing through the 10 research centers under the Technology Innovation Institute. So under ATRC, there are 3 entities. The first entity is called Aspire. Their role is to engage with the end users and the ecosystem and gather problem statements that ATRC can address. The Technology Innovation Institute, which is the second entity, is actually the applied research arm. This is where the research gets created. This is where the work gets done. And here it is formed of 10 research centers. AI is only one of the 10 research centers. We also have a research center on directed energy, on cryptography, on robotics, and so on and so forth. And last but not least is VentureOne. So VentureOne's role is to pick up technologies that are successful from the Technology Innovation Institute and bring them to the end users in a product form and commercialize these technologies. What this entails sometimes is actually creating a full-fledged venture to host that technology, productize it, and commercialize it under a venture. Now, the way we operate is actually all in the same room. Today, we all operate in a very smooth way where Aspire brings the end user, TII works on a problem statement, Aspire supports in actually testing that technology with end users, and then VentureOne works alongside TII into commercializing and creating the venture to commercialize that product. Now, in AI specifically, the way it was done is that Falcon itself is still being done within the AI center in TII, and AI71 in VentureOne picks up Falcon and builds application on top of it. Now, what is very interesting is the level of communication, collaboration, and interaction that is happening between the AI team in TII and the AI71 team. So we feed TII with feedback, with requirements, saying for our applications, this is what could be interesting, and so on and so forth. And at the same time, the TII team feeds us with the cutting edge developments in AI to help us anticipate what's coming when it comes to models and so on and so forth. So we are really complementing each other. And at the end of the day, the objective is actually to create impactful applications that are solid from the application layer all the way to the foundation model layer.
Thank you, Reda. And here we can be really specific, because one of the biggest achievements of TII and your work as a team is Falcon LLM. Let us try to deep dive a little bit more into Falcon LLM, how specific it is, how different it is from the other LLM that we are having worldwide. Can you explain to us the huge success actually that you are encountering from the day you launched it in the market?
Well, I think you are spot on. I think if I am to name one big achievement of the ATRC ecosystem in the last 4 years, that would definitely be Falcon. I think Falcon has put the UAE in the spotlight and has put us in the global benchmark when it comes to the top performing open source models. So the first specificity of Falcon is that it is UAE made model. This is a UAE model that we fully own, we created, and we own every single piece of it. This is very important. The second one is Falcon has been put open source, meaning organizations can pick up Falcon, they can consume it through an API, but they can also install it in their own on-prem infrastructure or their own private clouds and consume it in a much more secure way than consuming an API from a closed source model. The second aspect, which is really critical here, is that Falcon is actually one of the top performing open source models. If we take Falcon 3, for example, that we launched a few weeks ago, the 7B and the 10B, these models in their category are actually at the top of the performance benchmark. They actually go beyond models like Llama 3.1, Gemma 2, and so on and so forth. This is really unique. What it shows is actually the TII AI team has been able to punch way above their weights with a small team and to be able to create models that actually perform better than models out there globally. Now, the third specificity that is very important for deployments and accessibility is that Falcon 3, with its size and its architecture, runs on a very light infrastructure, even in laptops, which makes it actually cheaper and more accessible. And this is very, very important today. We started in the journey in Falcon. The team in TII started with large models, which helped us actually to prove our capability and so on and so forth. But then now we realize that smaller models that are more efficient to run are also a huge need for organizations that want to build specific application and don't want to carry the load. So what I was saying, maybe just to summarize, first, I think a key specificity is that it is UAE made, it is open source, it is one of the top performing in its categories. It's actually the best performer in its category above models like Llama 3.1, Gemma 2, and so on. It showcases a massive improvement when it comes to reasoning, language understanding, instruction, code, math, and so on and so forth. It runs in a light infrastructure, which makes it more accessible and cheaper to operate. And today, what is important as well is that this is just the beginning. This team is really determined to actually punch above their weight, and they have a very aggressive roadmap of more models that are coming our way, which include multi-model, action models, and so on and so forth.
And Reda, congratulations on this amazing achievement, that's for sure. And as you rightly pointed, the technology keep on evolving at such a rapid pace. So the Falcon 3 that we know today will be completely different from the advanced one, probably, that we'll see in the future. And with this kind of overarching and disruptive technology as AI, comes a lot of opportunities, but as well some vulnerabilities, especially when we talk about cybersecurity. So where do you see, Reda, the opportunity when it comes to the adoption or the rapid scale of adoption of AI, and as well the threat and vulnerability that this pose? Any end result areas that you foresee?
Well, I think, as you rightly said, AI kind of challenges every single applications, domains, and operations that we do today. Cybersecurity specifically is one of them. And in fact, as you're saying, it impacts it with bringing new opportunities to strengthen cybersecurity posture, but it also creates new threats. Let me start with the threats. Today, I guess one of the key ones is the automation of the hacking activities, leading to more sophisticated and more adaptive attacks that go beyond the human limitation capacity. The second one, which is as important, is actually the data vulnerabilities that are introduced by these large language models themselves. And this is in two stages. The first one is in the training itself. These models are trained in a large set of data. There are so many models out there, and there is a lot to be said around how much scrutiny has been done around this data and how people's data are exposed and so on and so forth in some of the models. The second one, which is very important to us, is actually the data vulnerability that is introduced in the inference itself. Today, organizations are actually exposing their data using APIs of closed large language models without knowing the level and the extent that they are actually exposing their data and so on and so forth. And today for us, one answer to this is open source models, because with open source models like Falcon, this is something that you can have full control of. You can install in your on-prem infrastructure or your private cloud, and you can have all the measures around it and so on and so forth. Now, beyond the threats, definitely AI is also helping strengthen the security posture of our systems. It actually helps automate and make threat detection, threat analysis, threat response much more powerful. It's actually, with the automation of tasks, it frees the expert's time to focus on analysis and taking certain actions, as opposite to doing repetitive tasks and so on. Today, when you look at the cybersecurity landscape, there is a lot of repetitive tasks. There is a lot of time taken to do certain measures, to write reports, and so on and so forth. AI today has the potential to automate a lot of this and make our systems more robust.
Absolutely. And we are seeing really how AI is helping us through iterative innovation really solve these challenges, as you say, by automation, etc. But there are as well some disruptive leaps, like quantum computing, who is often described as the biggest disruptor to the cryptographic system as we know them today. I'm very curious, Reda, in your view, how far do you think we are from quantum computing completely disrupting these systems? And anything is being done for that?
Well, I think from what we all hear and what we all see as developments, I think we are seeing an exponential progress towards large-scale quantum computers. We are talking about very capable quantum computers in the next 5 years for the most optimistic, maybe 10 years for the more conservative groups. I think based on what we are seeing now as quantum strategies being issued by different countries and so on, the quantum computer is a reality that is around the corner. I am more of a believer of the 5 years, not the 10 years. Now, what this does specifically in the cybersecurity arena is that the quantum computer arrival will challenge the classical crypto. And this is why in the Technology Innovation Institute, we've been working recently into post-quantum cryptography libraries and solutions. And we actually launched our suite of solutions as part of a new venture called Quantum Gate, which actually develops data security solutions based on post-quantum crypto and identity management solution and so on. Now, although the quantum computer is 5-10 years down the road, the threat is actually relevant today. And the reason for that is actually two things. One is the shelf life of our data. The data that is critical today may still remain as critical a couple of years down the road. And today, what is known by store now or intercept now and decrypt later is something that can be used actually by hackers to get the data today and get access to it down the road when the tools are available. This is why protecting the data from now is relevant. The second aspect is the time it takes to actually migrate to post-quantum crypto. Today, in reality, you cannot switch to post-quantum. Actually, just discovering the crypto that certain organizations have takes time. Certain organizations don't have even awareness of the extent and the inventory of crypto that they are using, let alone putting a roadmap and planning for migration and actually executing on the migration. So between the shelf lifetime of data and also the time it takes to plan and execute the migration, I think what we need to retain is that the quantum threat is already relevant today, and every single sensitive organization needs to start yesterday migrating and planning its migration to post-quantum crypto.
It's incredible how you are identifying obviously the future threat, but as well the future trend and converting them into a viable solution, which really brings us to venture building, which is the core of what VentureOne is doing. Curious to know what is your secret sauce and how you are taking these ideas. What is the typical startup journey under your framework? I know that we are having a number of startups here, not necessarily under a venture builder model. That will be really interesting to get your view on that.
See, I think we are still far from describing what we do as a secret sauce because we are starting. And although the ATRC ecosystem is 4 years old, VentureOne is 1 year old because we had to take some time to let some technologies mature before we come in and start putting this into the market, building ventures around it, and so on and so forth. But let me tell you how specific our model is. First, we actually only invest in solutions that solve an actual client problem. And this is what I described before. The whole journey of working on a technology starts between the Technology Innovation Institute and Aspire alongside a specific identified problem statement with the client. This is very important. The second one is that these technologies and solutions are built in TII in coordination and close collaboration with an anchor client who helps us validate and helps us fine-tune the solution as we grow. And last but not least is when the solution is proven to work with an anchor client, we actually commercialize it in a very lean way. So we build lean startups that have a huge focus on making impact and that grow organically as the business evolves. So the name of the game, at least in our model, is identifying a problem statement, building it with an anchor client, and being lean in the way we commercialize things.
And probably here, maybe you are being really humble in how you are describing all your work, because there are many layers of complexities to that. If we just think about cybersecurity or AI, we are in a space where the advancement of technology can outpace the product development. So if you are going into the lean methodology of building your startup, how can you make it happen, right? It's a race. Are you first facing this challenge?
Well, it is in fact a race, and we are actually operating in fast-moving domains. I mean, AI, I always say it, our colleagues in the Technology Innovation Institute, they move super fast. I mean, by the time we get to adopt a model, they are already working on the next model and so on and so forth. So it's very, very important to stay nimble, stay focused, and to build things in a modular way. Modular way, whether it's in the cybersecurity domain where we can plug in new crypto libraries and so on and so forth, or in the AI where we need to build modular applications where you can quickly adopt new models, evolve, and so on and so forth. So today, as you rightly said, doing venture building in the AI space is very challenging because of the pace of which AI is growing. By the time you build your product, there is already another technology that actually challenges your product and so on and so forth. If anything, I personally find this to be exciting. And I think so far in AI71, we're still being able to actually keep focus on specific problem statement that we keep solving and solving them in a modular way that allows us to keep actually building on the latest large language models. We are very blessed with the ATRC ecosystem because we work alongside the research team in TII, and we see what is upcoming. We actually also guide sometimes and provide requirements into the next models and so on and so forth.
Thank you, Reda. And I really want to open the floor as well to some question from our audience. But just before that, a question for you. How do you see, looking ahead 5 years, for example, from now, the achievements or the accomplishments of the ecosystem in AI, in cybersecurity? How do you envision this?
Well, I think, one, I'm super excited to be part of this ecosystem. I think it's one that moves super fast. That breaks the layers between organizations. It is an ecosystem where the end users are determined to using the latest advanced tech, whether it's in AI or cybersecurity and so on and so forth. I really believe that what I've seen in the last 4 years will only get accelerated in the upcoming years. And I am confident that Abu Dhabi and the UAE will actually be one of the key technology powerhouses down the road, having AI as a forefront runner, but also other domains like cybersecurity, quantum computing, robotics is a huge domain, and so on and so forth. I think we really have all the ingredients, and we have the leadership support and the vision from the leadership of the country and so on. We have the components of the ecosystem that are required. I am confident that 5 years from now, Abu Dhabi and the UAE will be even more visible in the technology global arena.
Thank you, Reda, and super mindful as well of your time, and grateful for this opportunity. If we can just allow for maybe 1 or 2 questions, if it's okay with you, Reda?
Yes, I'll try to do that fast.
So let's see if you are having any question in the audience. So please don't hesitate to write down your question or raise your hand, and we're gonna maybe open the mic, but it's better if you can write the question. Anyone has a question, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we can wrap up the session. Okay, we are having Eliazi. Eliazi, would you be able to write down your question, please? We are having as well a question from Nada. So how to come up with an idea? And then Eliazi. Maybe we can take a quick one, Reda here.
Yeah, let me maybe take one. I'll take the one around the idea because maybe it's more relevant to the audience. I think, see, the way we do it, we deal with organizations, and we have Aspire as an arm that goes to clients, understand their pain points and so on, and derives ideas from there, alongside the Technology Innovation Institute that knows the power of technology and what technology can achieve. I think for individuals, entrepreneurs, students, and so on, I think focusing on the client and spending as much time possible with the client is very important to identify an idea to solve the problem statement. So as far as I'm concerned, I look first for a problem, and then I look for an idea to solve the problem. So I think what we should be looking at as organizations, as entrepreneurs, as students, is problems to solve. And for us to find these problems, we can look into our own environment and problems that we face personally or our organization faces and so on, or we should spend as much time possible with specific segments of clients to understand their problems and derive ideas from there.
Thank you, Reda, for this.
Okay.
Not sure we are having another question that we can take. So maybe we can wrap up the session. We are really grateful, Reda, for just your brilliance, for your intervention. It has been inspiring to have you, and thank you for your time again. For the audience, thank you for being here. You will be able as well to watch the redo online, and have a great one, and see you next week for another session. Thank you so much, Reda.
Thank you.